I'll tell you what, if you look out on the web right now, this discussion on Climategate is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. This thing ain't going away, folks. This is a huge, huge story, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. Of course, we've all known it's a fraud. Listen, I got to tell you, you take a look at how politicians act. You look at statists who believe that government is the final arbiter of individual liberty. And by the way, our country was never founded on the fact that government is the arbiter of liberty. In the Constitution, both the 9th and the 10th Amendment guarantee the right of both individuals and states where there is no specific ability given to the federal government. So, when you have a right to keep and bear arms, the fact that there are murders in cities does not give the government the right to come in and take away your Second Amendment right. The fact that you have a right to your personal property guaranteed in the Constitution does not give the government the right to determine what you can do with that property. Any ability that any legislative body has in any of these regards is restricted by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And keep in mind, Barack Obama believes, as a former constitutional law professor, he believes theoretically that the Constitution should be a charter of positive rights of government, meaning the government has a right to do things. But it is expressly stated and clearly both implied and laid out in our constitutional provisions that government only has rights given to it expressly in the written documents, and anything else goes far beyond that. Now, I'm going through all this because when you think about what's happening in Climategate, this is not merely an issue of what's happening to the climate. And of course, that's obviously a central part. It's the core of what's happening or what's being discussed. It's the core of the milieu of discussion. But it is not at the core of the motivations that have sprung out of climate science. There are tens of thousands of climate scientists out there, who are doing real work to try to truly understand what happens in our climate. The vast majority of climate scientists believe strongly and know clearly that to understand how things are going to move around in the climate, how weather changes are going to come about, is something that is still greatly a mystery. Our prediction capabilities are much better than they've ever been, but as every hurricane season shows, you look at the models of where hurricanes are going to go, they've got about 20 or more different models, computer models that they use at every given point of the progress of a hurricane that go in a wide direction. They don't know clearly what's going to happen. Yes, there are some things that climate scientists know, but they don't know everything. And you need to recognize the foolishness of anyone who would say that they do. Now, what is at the core of people like Phil Jones, the now deposed head of the Climatic Research Unit at the University of East Anglia in Great Britain, people like that at their core have something much different in mind. People like Al Gore, Barack Obama, Howard Dean, Barbara Boxer, Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, they have one thing in mind, and it's evident in everything that they do, and that's this. Government should have a right to dictate what takes place in society, in culture, in religion, in thinking, and in the public discourse. That ultimately politicians do not like public discourse because it's messy to them. It requires something of them. It requires responsibility, accountability. It requires them to hold our sacred trust in honor. It requires them to think of the people of the country before themselves. It requires them to go back and be elected on a regular basis. And that's messy to politicians that want power. It's not at all messy to politicians who believe in our principles. The climate debacle only proves that politicians and those who will support them because they'll receive the benefits of what politicians do will go to any length to shut down those who would oppose them. The Climategate Research Unit at University of East Anglia had two goals in mind. One, maintain itself because it received tens of millions of dollars of government support, and a political agenda to increase the role of government in individual lives so that point one can continue. So, perpetuate oneself financially and do so by building up a structural organization that provides the finances, by raping it and taking it out of the hands and pockets of other people. Because, folks, when it comes to climate change, East Anglia University had a treasure trove of data which they have thrown away and we can't get to anymore. They threw it away to hide their lies.